It's late fall, 2002, and I'm 18 years old, full of strength and light. I tripped all the way from Washington Heights in Manhattan to Flushing, Queens, the last stop on the 7 train. Down to my last, I traveled to Home Depot to be interviewed for a job. Filled with hope and cloaked in desperation, I walked in to meet my potential new employer. His name was Sheldon. We interviewed and I killed it. I simply killed it. I'm sure Sheldon felt my hunger. I detected his Caribbean accent and I tried to find common ground, being that my father was from that part of the world and I too was raised in that culture of hard work and determination. He bought in on me working there. He told me how much I was going to love the job and that I would make good money. Sheldon then took my social security number and stepped behind the desk to run it through his system. I would not let myself feel anything but confident as he typed in the 9 digits that would determine my possibilities and potentially my future. I insisted on the image of him returning to me with his hand held out, ready to shake, and that I would return to my abuela with the reassurance of a new job. I had to. See, earlier that morning, the stakes had been raised. I had been startled awake. The sounds of bachata music, sobbing, police sirens, and the soft conversation between 2 individuals outside my building discussing the terms and conditions of the pre-purchase of narcotics. But those sounds are not what woke me. The noise of my neighborhood had become my background music, and in a weird way, it helped me sleep better. I could usually drown out even the loudest of those sounds, but that morning had been slightly different. Something was wrong. Something was off. There was no sweet, beautiful aroma of fried yuca, eggs, and onion that my abuela makes for me and my abuelo every morning. Nor did I hear the sound of Telemundo coming underneath my bedroom door. When I opened the door to my room, still halfway asleep, wiping the coal out of my eyes, I discovered that the sobbing sound that I had grown immune to was coming not from outside, but out of my family living room. It was my abuela who was sobbing. I ran to her side and kneeled down in front of her. ¿Qué estás pasando, abuela? She handed me 2 letters, one from my abuelo, stating that he would not receive his Social Security for another year, and another from public housing, informing my grandparents that because I was on probation for a felony drug conviction, I had to leave my home or my entire family would be evicted. It's amazing what a day brings and takes from us in our poverty-stricken communities. See, just the night before, I had a feeling of stability and hope. After all, I had an actual interview for a job. Do you know how many applications an 18-year-old black man has to fill out before they even get an interview? It was going to happen. My baby's mothers needed money for diapers and food, and I was going to have it. But now, looking at those letters and my abuela sobbing, the challenge was overwhelming. I didn't need just enough to support my kids and start college. I now needed enough for rent, a security deposit, utilities, or hold the possibility of being homeless. And I had to figure out how to help my abuela pay her rent with no Social Security coming in. So once again, despite the vision that I had gathered for myself while in jail of getting a job, making it to college, and staying out of the drug game, I was having to consider going back into and possibly risking my freedom and my life. See, in the last year, I had already had 2 friends murdered over rivalry for selling territory. Trying to stay strong for my abuela, I kissed her and walked away to prepare for my interview at Home Depot in a new state of mind, one now heavy with threat as well as despair. But you can't let people see that, right? And think that they're going to hire you. It's not going to happen. I showered and I dressed and used every item of clothing I put on to build me up, to regain my hope, so that I could get on that train and feel it all somehow working out. So there I was, sitting in Sheldon's office, practically praying when his head finally reemerged from behind his computer screen. But by just looking at his face, I could tell immediately that everything had changed. I was now dead to him, or at least untouchable. He wouldn't even look at me. The numbers had rolled back, and I was officially unhireable. So I started talking fast, trying to regain my ground. I told him I could be on probation period or something like that, that I just needed the job to take care of my kids. I mean, I shared what was I up against economically. He was unmoved. And his response to my sob story was just, sorry. But I was not going home without a job. Please, Sheldon, I'm trustworthy. I'm an honorable man. I'm asking for a shot, an opportunity, a chance. He just looked at me, impervious to what I was going through, and asked that I leave the premises. I left, not only the premises, but New York. See, my mom lived in Colorado Springs, and I hoped to find work through her connections and stay out of the drug game. When I got to Colorado, I was surrounded by job offers in the community, but none of them was legal. Did you know that according to the Brookings Institute, a black man without a criminal record is less likely to get called back for a job than a white man who checked the felony box? It's crazy. I went to prison 2006. I was given twice the time for the same crime as the two white men who went up in front of the judge before me. That startled me awake, even more than the cries of my abuela. I was awake, I was angry with the whole injustice of this whole system, and fierce with intention of alchemy, to take all the steel, the concrete, the brutality and disregard they gave me as DOC number 147388 and turn it into my own armor. I may have to fight to survive, but I will not be your entertainment. I'm not going to be your victim, and I will not let you make me your victim. Every day, I gave myself a new challenge to help me keep my focus and sanity. First thing I did was I built up this chest, I built up these biceps. Then I learned how to read and write in the language of my abuelos, Spanish. After that, I learned to read Arabic, the language of the black leaders in prison who were resisting with self-respect and self-love as well as prayer. Then I re-enrolled in college and got several certifications. And despite all the obstacles to getting my education in prison, and even with the arsenal of strengths, it was hard to stay out of prison. When I was finally released, they let me out with just $10 in my pocket. I had no fresh clothes and I had no hope. I almost didn't make it, despite nearly 10 years of preparing for that very moment. But I did, and I'm here. And now I work to support other people coming out of prison, guiding them as they take the skills they learn in illegal economies and transform themselves into entrepreneurs with legal opportunities. Because this system wastes our brilliance.